Okay. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Hooray!
Hurrah! Yeah, they slow rolled me. YouTube always likes to add a little bit of tension. It said you do not have permission to stream the first time I tried it, and I was like, have I been canceled?
It's probably that bill in Canada where you're only allowed Canadian content. So
Yeah,
basically,
right. Because I'm an American,
yeah, that's right. And since our great overlord made sure of that,
correct. Yeah, that was my yeah, but your overlord has been doing extra special work to dick you guys over as hard as possible, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't yeah. It's I don't want to say too much because I don't want thugs jumping through the windows and
Right. Swinging in.
Yeah, putting a black bag. Well, actually, it wouldn't be a black bag; it'd be a paper bag because
Right.
we're not allowed to have plastic bags
Yeah.
here in Canada anymore. Something about the turtles.
Yeah, so they're gonna choke you out with a paper bag instead.
Yeah, that's the way it should go.
Yeah, I was actually a few on the subject of all the garbage for the turtles. I was at an airport. I forget where it was. I think I was in Houston or something, but I got Chick-fil-A because it's delicious, and they only had the paper straws, and I'm like, seriously, that's all you have? I was like, it was in a plastic wrapper, first of all, the paper straw. Then I had a big styrofoam cup with a plastic lid, and then all the other garbage that normally comes with the fast food meal. And I was like, and the one thing that you can't give me plastic is the one thing that needs to be, you know what I mean? It's the straw, so it doesn't disintegrate in my drink.
Yeah, it's so when they have paper straws for Slurpees now.
Does that even work? I'm gonna start bringing like a straw. They make those stainless steel ones, and you can use them. Actually, on rulethewasteland.com, I have those like extendable like bellows. It's basically just a tube to like stoke your fire without giving your face up in it.
Oh yeah,
I might just carry one because they're like stainless steel.
Brutal.
They're a little big for a straw, but it might work for the Slurpees.
It is unbelievable how, because you don't drink from your Slurpee right away. Well, then it
solidifies it. Yeah.
They're
terrible.
It's a shit show. So I went to the store before this shit show started happening, and I bought 10,000 plastic straws.
Just dump them in. Like every time I use a paper straw, I will dump 10,000 plastic straws into the ocean.
I never thought of it that way, but it's just so I have about 100 in my car, so when I'm
that's useful. Yeah,
it is. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. Not to go ranting about straws too much. Shay said he will be here. He contacted us just a few minutes ago, said he's running a few minutes late, so he should be dropping in whenever he breaks free. So we'll have the whole gang back together. I didn't have a whole lot to go. Well, I didn't have anything too specific. There's a whole lot to talk about as usual. So I just left it open to the craziness of 2023. But I do have a few things. And the one thing, I think I mentioned this a couple months ago, maybe, is I've been kind of not necessarily perplexed, but we haven't seen as major shortages in the US, at least. I don't know about where in Canada either, in food and stuff like that. We're definitely seeing some spotty stuff, definitely price increases. So I'm curious as to why you think that is. My hunch is that the massive price increases that we're seeing have kind of just tamped down demand enough to where there was so much supply in our normal day-to-day life in the West that even a halving of the supply is probably still enough for everyone when the prices are too high. SBQR Cincinnati says, is the audio super low for anyone else? I don't know if I can control your volume on my end, but I'm hearing Dan okay. Shay, are you dropping? It says he's connecting to audio. Can you hear us?
Check.
All right. Sounds like he's here. Congrats on making it, man. Glad you could make it.
Unlike the last times when I hey, let's do a show. What was that?
And then he bounced.
New Year's,
yeah,
and then I bounced. No,
it's all good. I was just glad you're okay. Didn't get blown up by fireworks or something. There's always a few people that get mangled, or they get a bottle rocket stuck in their ass. It doesn't blow out or whatever.
Whoa! Did you see that one dude that was holding it like he was like this somewhere down in the States? And it high ordered in his hand and blew it.
Oh,
it almost looks like this.
Yeah, I saw one where the guy it was like a fucking, it was mangled.
But he was so hammered or in shock, it didn't. He
just kind of stared at it. Yeah. Oh, that's gross.
I couldn't imagine that happening. Well, for me, because it would suck. Because then That's why I do all the dangerous shit
So
with this hand.
yeah, exactly.
So I don't have to worry about losing anymore. But
CD Canadian Garden Girls, Eric, how's the Lake Mead situation lately? I haven't heard much about it. I don't think it's gotten any worse. We have had a little bit of rain, a lot by Vegas standards. But as I've mentioned a couple times on here before, Vegas specifically is in a better spot than places that are downstream of the dam. We have our own deep water connection that doesn't require water going through the dam for a lot of the water or electricity. So the dead pool status, if it ever reached that, would not affect us as much. But yeah, it's still low. But as far as I know, it hasn't been getting any worse, or the degree to which it's getting worse hasn't increased. Let's put it that way. So I think they're hoping to. They keep raising the rates on everything, water, electricity. So they're probably hoping that kind of curtails the supply shortages. But it's honestly all comes down to California. Most of the water coming through the dam is being used for agriculture in Southern California. So that's what they'll have to figure out.
Didn't California just get a huge storm in the last few weeks? Like a lot of rain,
sure.
a lot of they're all worried about it flooding and people freaking out. I was thinking, man, why shouldn't they be happy about tons of rain in California?
I guess. If you're not a farmer, though, it's just annoying.
Yeah, I suppose.
Did you say something, Shay?
Yeah, let's switch out the audio, the video, so we're all one screen at a time, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me change the setting. So speaker version, you mean?
I guess so.
That should work right there, so people are now seeing just who's talking. Is that what you're talking about?
I think so.
Cool. There you go. There he is. So what have you been up to, man? Just living the dream.
Living the dream.
Rocking in the free world, as the song says.
Well, what's up with the title? Chaos?
Yeah, I left it open for a general discussion of 2023. I just said get ready for the chaos of 2023. Because I don't think anything's specifically going to get any better.
Right. I don't think it is either. Well, I don't know. I think it's up to our leaders. We're not in charge. What do you think, Dan? What do you think is going to happen?
It's whatever they want. If it's whatever their agenda is, that's what we're going to have to live with.
What's the agenda?
It's not as bad as China's agenda, where they rule with the iron fist, but it's getting there. We have out here in Alberta, so we got the NDP, and I did a TikTok the other day about this, and the NDP leader was talking that there's not enough information for the COVID vaccine, and that's why not a lot of people are wanting to get it. And she wants to bump up in Alberta to spend. Right now, they're spending $6 million, but she wants to bump it up to $45 million so she can get people to go door to door and explain what the COVID vaccine is. Sorry, the COVID vaccine is, and when people feel that they are all learned up on it, they're going to give it to them right at their doorstep.
Oh geez, you know how to deal with those people. It's that way that the guy did a traffic stop a while back with some preacher, and they were like, "Sir, do you have it was a border patrol stop," and they were like, "Are you a citizen of the country?" And he's like, "That's an important question, but what a more important question is, and it's asked only one time in the Bible, is what must I do to be saved?" And then he launches into like preaching at them, and they're just like, "I get out of here."
So I can't see it happen. Like maybe if she gets voted in, but the amount of money that they want to spend on things, which we don't have that amount of money, but just going door to door and then administering a vaccine that I don't think they're really thinking this through, but I could be wrong. There's people out there that are up on their 5th booster by now. So
it's wild.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's still how, I guess, and it's shocking to me always how little of the new information trickles out into just like to the normies, because the amount that's like, and I'm not talking about like our side of the internet, conspiracy stuff, but the official admissions now of like how effective the vaccine really is, how high the rate of negative effects are, how little things they actually tested and studied for, like Pfizer coming out and admitting in the hearing that they didn't test at all for whether it affects transmissibility, stuff that they like swore to us was the case. And now they're still being like pushing it for everyone to get it. And there seems to be a lot of people who just don't even know that that information is out there. It's wild.
Yeah, because they don't. It's not on mainstream media, so
Yeah, they
that's
never
why
cover it.
They're not seeing that, the truth in their mind.
So
I
there
don't.
literally might be people, like a lot of people, who still think that it's prevents transmission. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Wild.
I don't know. It's
It's
right out the
crazy
lunch break.
times.
Definitely.
It is out to lunch. I think most people are out to lunch, or literally out to lunch. And I think our society, our species, Western society anyways, is moving further and further away, or closer to out to lunch. I'm not too sure how to describe that, but I think from my opinion, is that I think we're moving from a society that has been predominant, we're moving towards some mental health, conspiracy issues, and that cloud is getting larger. It's going to get larger the next 10 years. It's unfortunate. I'm just calling a spade a spade. I'm fucking loving life. I don't know about everybody else. Everybody's like, oh, it's going up, food prices, all this other shit, right? But look at it, we've been prepping for years, so it's all psychological at this point. Nobody's perfect. I got certain things you got to get in order, I suppose. But the future isn't looking good. A buddy of mine said it's all going to come down in 2030, 7 years. Just talking with him tonight. It's all the new agenda, the new plan, and let's talk to three different people, three different theories about agenda, whatever 2030. You'll get three different opinions. So I don't know. I don't give a fuck. I'm very happy where I'm at right now. So
yeah,
what do you think?
That's the thing, like that I've said before, I think, is that so much of the issues are not what is happening, but how the masses react to that. You know what I mean? Like, most of these problems aren't real major problems, at least not yet, but they certainly can be, just like we saw with the toilet paper shortages and most of anything negative because of COVID. Like, obviously people died, but most of the problems that any of us suffered because of COVID were related to the decisions that were made about it, not because of the disease itself. And so that's always things were never really that bad because of the disease. Things are not really that bad because of price increases. And I mean, they're getting worse, and they might end up being disastrous, but most of the problems will be because of controls that are implemented trying to fix things, or trying to make it more fair, or try to fix climate, not because of any climate issues themselves, but all the stuff that's being done in the name
Ironic.
of all that
the people arguing about the processes to solve the issue.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to kind of go the way way we discussed last week. It's not just going to be an immediate crash like that. It's going to be the gradual, going down lower and lower. So people aren't just freaked out all of a sudden, but that's just, people get used to they're taking this away from us. All right, it's just that. And then, a few months or weeks later down the road.
There's a term in the PUA community, or the manosphere, called Betaization through 1,000 concessions. And it's about how men in our society, there's something called the 80-20 rule, where 80% of men are basically disgusted by women, are just, they don't take care of themselves. And just, I want to compliment what you're saying, Dan, in that, when a woman is in her 30s and her party years are over, she's ready to settle down, or she's had her fun. She'll find a guy to settle down with, and she'll beta-tize him through 1,000 concessions, or 1,000 small little,
it never starts with throw out all your stuff and turn everything pink and do this. It's just like one thing at a time.
It's comparative. So comparatively, with respect to what you're saying, Dan, absolutely. I don't think unless we have something like an EMP, we'll go from balls to the wall, or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah, I mean, other than like an EMP, a nuclear exchange, something like that, or like a major virus that really does have an 80% kill rate or something. Only those type of major events would cause like an instant shit the fan calamity. But most of what we're looking at is going to just be like things getting shittier and worse and more totalitarian.
Yeah, and I would argue that, we got sort of a glimpse into the future. There's some countries that are 30 years behind in technology, but there's certainly some countries that are leading the way in terms of how do we control society. I'm not going to name countries, but we've got a glimpse of what we can expect here in Canada, at least in the next 10 to 15 years, I'd say, if things keep going the way they're going.
Yeah, and that's so scary to me.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, the idea of like the CBDC stuff and the social credit score and all that nonsense is way scarier to me than any of the physical like disaster scenarios, because it's so much harder to prepare for.
Oh, well, that's the thing. So if we go to the social credit system, if we go to the digital currency, if we go to all that stuff that, other countries are adopting, if you don't follow the certain guidelines, if you don't follow the certain rules, well, they just go into your social credit score and drop you down to 1, or
Right.
they in China, I guess they took everybody's right to go out.
Yeah, you can't travel or
eat.
whatever, or go to restaurants. And and that's why I think it's so important to stop this stuff at any particular level. Like some people, and as a concept, they're right. When the mask stuff came out, to be like, look, this isn't a big deal. I'm like, a mask itself is not a big deal, but like none of these individual tiny little things could be a big deal in and of themselves. But if you allow every one of them, at some point because that's not a big deal, you're going to have allowed 1,000 little things that now control your entire life. And it'll be impossible to go back and pick which one you should have stood your ground on. So the only thing you can do is try to stand your ground on all of them. If it's anything along that path, we can't allow it, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just an ornery.
Mic drop.
Maybe I'm just a recalcitrant.
You're
bastard.
absolutely right. We shouldn't allow it, but like I said, it's going to happen gradually, and it's
right. And that's why most people are allowing it, because if you tell people like you're in a cage that doesn't let you go over there, they're like, well, I never go over there. You know what I mean? But like once, like, so they legitimately don't care. But and like the door is open, like, well, the door to the cage is open, and we're like, they can close it whenever they want. And they're like, but it's open. I don't care.
Well,
and
listen, sorry, man.
No,
go
that's
ahead.
it. Go ahead. Go for it.
I was just to put facts behind what you're presupposing there. I heard this stat a week or two ago, and it would open my eyes. I'm gonna butcher it now, but it alluded to the fact that something like half the population is an IQ lower than 100 or something like that.
Well, yeah, by definition, I mean, it's a standard deviation. So 100 is the average. So by definition, it's the middle point. So
that seems exceedingly low to me, if you ask.
I mean, that's what's this. Yeah, if you're used to hanging around, we're a couple, me and you are a couple smart guys. We tolerate Dan, and but if you're,
touche, motherfucker.
No, but like, because we had a bunch of friends from like college, and they were all grad students and stuff. So we developed this friend group of people who were, several standard deviations above the mean. And when you're used to hanging out with people like that, even an average person seems like they're just retarded, for lack of a better word. And then people who have like legitimately have like 75, 85 IQs, some people have suggested you can't even communicate with them. Some people say that across like more than 2 standard deviations of IQ, it's impossible to like transmit complex ideas. So like when you're talking about an average person, is like you're not really going to relate to them. Someone and half the people are below that. Pretty wild. And I'm not even like a genius, you know what I mean? Like for people who are legitimately like 150, 160.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm guessing I'm in the 130s, but it might not even be that high. But
right, I think you and me are above average. Dan's a nice guy.
You know what, fuckers?
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
We should take a test. Somebody, throw a link up and let's take a test.
Well, the SATs used to be correlated because it was graded on standard deviation. So you used to be able to tell off that, but I think that ended in like 92. I don't know when you guys took them, but I took them after that, so it probably doesn't apply.
I don't even think we have.
Yeah, you guys do it. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys even do the SATs? Shows how smart I am.
We're too smart for the SATs, eh? We don't even have to do them.
Yeah, they just give you right into college. They're like, please go to school.
Yeah, so we're not on the backyard digging with our fucking hands, right? Yeah, I get it. God damn. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think people are just getting dumber and dumber because they're watching mainstream media and they're trusting the science, as they say.
And that's another thing too, is that more important even than like the fact that there's a lot of stupid people out there, is that there's certain brands of stupidity that are represented across the IQ spectrum. Like we've seen, how many doctors have we seen come out and just swallow all the COVID bullshit hook, line, and sinker? And whether it's because they have a particular type of stupidity or because they're being particularly gullible or cowardly and not willing to stand up, for the sake of their jobs, it doesn't really matter, because you can't count on the people being smart saving them. In a lot of ways, the smart people are it's like that meme where it shows the IQ graph, and the smartest and the dumbest people like agree on the simple concept in the middle, like midwits are the ones who are like, well, I don't know, the science says, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Where like these midwit doctors are like just always swallow the science, like whatever is being told to them. They've just been trained for that, to just accept whatever the status quo, even though it changes all the time.
Right. Who knows, man? Maybe we're getting closer and closer to that movie Idiocity than we know what's going on.
Yeah,
you guys told me about that. I ended up watching it. And
oh, isn't it great? Yeah, it's hilarious.
that was a very accurate depiction of
yeah, it's actually kind of disturbing if you think about it too much, but it is definitely funny.
It's it's getting to the point where it's just like, holy fuck, and you can't even talk to people anymore. Like it's
Right.
just, you try to explain.
Listen. Yep. Try to explain
shit, and then it's just like, no. Mainstream media says, or Dr. Fauci says this, or
right.
You got a Dr. Tam up here, looks like a lady boy from the fucking 70s. It's
I need a few beers for that one. I don't know if I could do Dr. Tam like in her prime. Let's get a photo of her.
Oh,
yeah, would you?
Is it a dude?
Well,
dude, seriously? What?
I don't know. I don't know. Canadian.
The female doctor. I meant like if I would take her on it. Ooh, no.
Let me see.
No. Hideous, my friends.
Is that TAM?
Yeah.
Dr. Tam, yeah. Looks like a dude. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, I've seen it, because she shows up in all these. It's like all the health people, and they all look like they're fucking either dying or morbidly obese or something. And it's like, for some reason, health ministers across the world are like the most unhealthy looking people ever.
Yeah.
So she looks like she's a fucking like Otzi the Iceman, like thawed from the fucking all desiccated. And then there's the other one movie from Finland or whatever that was like just look like she's about to burst open from obesity and just what movie?
Oh, well, I wouldn't take it that far. You trash this woman.
No, I'm talking about all the different ones. All the different ones.
She's not my type. I think they had a movie that was, based in 10,000 BC, and they needed a Neanderthal woman. They wouldn't have to do much makeup work.
You're like, I'm not going to trash her, but and then you just skewers her.
Listen, going back to the preparedness stuff, and what Dan was talking about with respect to people of authority that aren't necessarily aligning with what is rational or what is logical is certainly a concern, because these people in authoritative positions are creating policies and directing our society. So there's something to be said about where we're going to be in the future. And I'm not too sure what. We got 1,000 different conspiracies, but I want to narrow in on what we do know is actually going to happen, or at least a concern.
Yeah, because we're talking about preparing. If you have to have some vision of what's going to be like to make your decisions.
Exactly. So that's going to be the reoccurring.
One thing,
energy.
Yeah, and what I mentioned to Dan right before you jumped on, Shay, was we've been talking about potential shortages and stuff, obviously, for a while, and I've been kind of surprised at how it hasn't been that big of a problem in the U.S. And I don't know how it is with you guys, or if that's similar up there, but my suspicion is that that's mostly because we have just had such an abundance historically that even with significant shortages, with the prices rising, there's just still enough of most things, and the prices being higher, controlling people from just buying as much as they used to. But it has gotten worse. And do you guys think that that's going to get to the point where we have actual shortages in the U.S., or that it'll just keep getting more expensive?
You know what? Right now we have a bit of a shortage on children's medication, Tylenol, Advil, stuff like that, and it's slowly starting to trickle in. But the reason why we're having a shortage, well, that's what they're saying is because in Canada we have to have English and French on the packaging. And for some strange reason, they weren't able to. The packaging was down, and they're only able to get English writing on it, so they weren't. Wow. They're holding it, which is fucking right out. If that's the fucking case, why there's a shortage, then we got to kick the French language right to the curb. I don't think that's it, but
well, it's funny because I specifically mentioned a similar concept in one of our live streams a long time ago in terms of like how fragile our whole system is, and I mentioned label. I didn't think of a language, but I'm like, even if you have the food and that's local and you're importing one thing like a label, I mentioned specifically, or the ink for it or something, and these companies can't just like make a new label without the legally required nutrition information on there overnight. So that
Yeah.
would require them to reset the printers, maybe use a new type of ink and all this other stuff. And then even if we have the food, that'll sit there. And now you're saying the exact same thing is literally happening, but for like the dumbest possible reason.
I think we're going to get to a state where we'll be mass producing, or at least increasing production on insects as a protein source for society in general.
They're definitely trying that. And it's weird because I've always been like, I'm not squeamish. Like if I was lost in the woods, I would eat crickets and stuff, but it is weird how much they're pushing it and how hard they're trying to make this happen. And that weirds me out for sure. But I have no, strictly speaking, I have no moral opposition to having like a cricket flour biscuit or something, but I don't see any need to really do that. And it's anytime that all these groups and people are pushing it so hard, it makes me suspicious for sure.
But you know what? I think they're getting right now with the inflation prices, so they're getting used to paying that stuff. I don't know how it is for you guys down in the States, but diesel is, well, here in Alberta, it's almost $2 a liter. So that'd be $8 a gallon.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is out in Ontario for diesel, but I think that's the prices that we're kind of looking at because all that stuff is brought in through trucks. So I think it's going to continue to keep going up. And then if it gets to a point where there isn't a shortage, but just, the greed is the big thing, I guess. People wanting to make that money, but it's going to have to come to a point where people just can't afford stuff anymore. And then maybe that's when prices will start going down.
Yeah, or if they do, there's so many multiple issues. Like we have the currency issues that are happening, the inflation, and then we also have potential shortages of supply chain issues. Like I said, it might not be an actual shortage, but anything that's disrupting the supply and the delivery. And then I still think we're probably going to see something happen between Taiwan and China within the next 12 to 18 months, which that could cause all sorts of insane shortages and supply issues. I mean, that's like a whole other level.
Not looking promising. So we've got, well, certainly the same thing with gas on this side of the closer to this side of the ocean, or at least the east side of Canada, Dan, $2 a liter at least for diesel. And recession, hysteria, food shortages. So we're in idle, I guess, for the next year or two. Nothing's really happening with our species. We're just sort of, going through this shitty time where there's mass amounts of mental illness growing.
Yeah,
that's what crippling depression feels like. Gotcha.
Sad. It's unfortunate, but I think I'm not trying to be like maniacal and but it seems like it's going to be a shitty time for the next year or two. Is going to be really bad for a couple of people, for parts of society, because maybe their businesses or their livelihood depends on a pre-COVID environment or society. So,
right.
What would you guys recommend? Look, we're preppers. We've been doing this a while. For people watching, what do you think would be beneficial for people to focus on for the next year or two in lieu of, all this hysteria around us or potential nonsense and current nonsense occurring around us right now?
Yeah, I think that obviously, just like we've always talked about, the main basics of survival, something you should have pretty much locked up: food, a little bit of power, some kind of water, medicine, whatever. But beyond just the basics, not to let yourself be like guided by fear, but like think about the things that you're worried about, because that's usually will be for a reason, and then try to focus on how you can head off those potential problems. If you're living like total on a shoestring budget, paycheck to paycheck, you're going to have to find some way to make a new income source or cut expenses or something along those lines, or get in a field where your job is secure. And if otherwise you live in a city, a super packed city, then you're maybe going to be worried more about security or travel or something. Just depends, But
here's what concerns me with that. And Dan, I'd love to get your response as well in a second, but I totally co-sign with what you just said, Eric. But the problem I see with such a rational, clear response is, focus on what you need, look at it rationally, take care of your physical health, mental health, all the things we've all known to do all this time, is the fact that there's very few people that are into preparedness. And the fact that very few people are really showcases or magnifies the fact that if they're not, then they're probably experiencing some sort of detrimental, I wouldn't say negative side effects, that they're they're certainly not mentally ill, but they're not awake or aware to the fact that they should be preparing. That should be an indication of where they're at psychologically, I think, because if they're not even, if they don't have the intelligence to think 1 month into the future and have some basic preps, then are we dealing with the under 100 type individuals, or under, I don't know if I'm articulating myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And
Right
I mean,
here.
the general idea being like a time preference, which is, I guess, correlated probably with intelligence, but not necessarily the same, like people who make decisions. Because I think I've mentioned this before, but I'd seen a study where they did what's called the cookie test on like 2-year-old kids, and it actually predicted future success way better than actual IQ. And that's when you go to the kid and they're toddler age, 2 to 4, I think, and you're like, you can have 1 cookie now, or like 3 cookies in 2 minutes, or some short amount of time, 5 minutes. And the ones that were like, yeah, sure, I'll wait the 5 minutes and get 3 times as many cookies, like that, looking into the future, even just very briefly realizing I can put off my impulses for just a few minutes and get a way better result, that actually is way better predictor of overall future success than just raw intelligence. And the kids were like, no, give me the 1 cookie now, and can't even wait 2 minutes for 2 cookies. Like, that's the mindset you're talking about. Like, there's whatever's happening in front of them right now, that's what they're going to react to. That's what they're making the decisions on.
Sure. And maybe all the emotions associated with getting that cookie now, the anxieties, the hesitation, the stresses, and all that feeling is growing. It's certainly not getting any better within our society.
No, yeah, because I've always said, like, a lot of these people, like, there was a story a while back about a guy who got mad at Taco Bell because they didn't have a sauce, and he went home and got a shotgun or whatever. And like, like, this person probably not a genius, but it wasn't that he was just so stupid that if you had asked him the day before, hey, what would happen to someone who goes to Taco Bell with a shotgun to get more sauce, they'd be able to tell you that would end up in jail. So it wasn't that he's just so stupid. They just have that lack of impulse control, or they are so controlled by their emotions, like you're saying, that it overrides whatever level of intelligence they have. They're not making decisions based on, cognitive assessment of something. They're doing it based on whatever monkey brain impulses come over them.
Right. I think we're going to see a lot more monkey brain impulses from individuals in the coming months.
Olympic system stuff. Yeah. And then I think that a lot of what we see, like the mental health stuff, is crazy. I think a lot of that's related to just being general and healthy, and whatever weird chemicals and like, if you see the stats on how many people are on like pharmaceuticals, it's insane. There's like 40+ million people on like Adderall alone, like one medicine in the US has like 40 million prescriptions. And that's like the prescribed. There's a lot of people just use it too. And there's like 350 million people in the US. So that's a humongous portion of it for one prescription medicine. And then you have dozens of others too.
I think the biggest thing, you see these people right now, the ones that are still wearing masks, they're either in their car, they're out shopping, or what have you. Say we get to the point where there's all a shortage of something, or people know that people are preppers, or they have, say there's rolling blackouts and these people are running their generators.
Right.
I feel that these people are the ones that are going to be the first to turn in, be like, hey, he's hoarding food, or hey, he's hoarding electricity, or that family over there has fuel. Give it to me. But it'd be like, no, you didn't prepare, so I'm not going to give it to you. And then all these people are going to start to band together. That's my biggest fear. When something finally happens, it's not the government, it's not what the shortage is, it's the people that haven't prepared.
The haves and have-nots.
Yeah. It'd be like, well, he has food and I want it. Well, no, this is for my family. Well, I'm starving. My kid's starving. And then they'll, if you plan to bug in, that's going to be your problem. Because, I ask people every once in a while, I'll be like, so power goes out for a week. How good are you at, can you feed yourself? And then they're like, well, yeah, my freezer's stocked full of food. I'd be like, okay, awesome. Yeah, your freezer's gonna, if you keep opening that bad boy,
rot.
all your stuff's gonna be rotten in a matter of days. And it's like, well, well, you have a generator. I can just borrow your power. It's like,
whoa.
I don't really see that happening. But then you start to think, well, if I don't give this guy a little bit of power, what's he going to do? Is he going to, band together with the other non-powered neighbors? Or yeah, it's the biggest fear. And that's why I always plan to get the hell out of Dodge and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
With, have my preps. Hopefully, my wife doesn't go through a bag of rice in a day, or it's just one of those things. Or the fact that you want to bring your family members that haven't prepped. It's
Right.
like, so now you have 3 months of food, just to say, or 3 years, or whatever you have,
Right.
and then you start bringing family members on board.
That number goes down quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
more
Then you
people
got
bring
2
in.
months, 2 weeks of food, and it's just no. It's you just. What are you doing? When is the right time to do it?
Yeah.
I think it's weird of people. It's almost like this self-entitled behavior where they just think, oh, you're a prepper. If something bad happens, I'm just going to come to your house. I'm just coming.
Right.
They just say it. They don't ask you. I bet that happened to me a lot of times. It's,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm hooking up with you. Something bad. It's, well, I didn't fucking invite you. What
Right.
made you
Yeah.
think you were going to be welcome?
Yeah,
Well,
if I lose my job and they're like, I got a job, like, oh, I know where I'm going for dinner. Like
Yeah.
they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, oh, I lost my job and you've still got money. So like we're sharing, right?
That's what you always say. Well, I'll just plant you on my doorstep.
Or if you're single, you could be like, you've got a wife, right? What's the problem?
Yeah.
I'm coming to your house. Like, I don't need to get married. I don't need to get married. You're married.
Yeah.
What a share.
DP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But
It
it's,
always ends up with balls and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we crossed the PG-13 line.
But that's always the case. They always, they always think, oh yeah, you're a prepper. We'll just go to your place. So I just say, well, I'll just plant you at my doorstep.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why would you do that? We're friends. They're like, yeah, but
Not
why
if you're
would
coming to take my stuff.
yeah, exactly. Why would I give you that stuff? Or you can come all you want. I'll be gone. I'll be long gone. It's
Right.
Have at her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean but it brings up the point. I think the most important thing to focus on is resiliency. So if we're talking about food, whether we're talking about like the social credit score stuff, not relying on as many of these things as possible is the best bet. Because think of how many people had to acquiesce to all the stuff that's going on the last few years just because of life circumstances. Whereas, if you had a off-grid homestead complete or whatever, you could have tried to ride it out, but most people aren't that lucky, to have that set up. So that principle applies to all the rest of the stuff too.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I would say is, join a prepper network, whether it be on Facebook or Signal or Voxer or Meetup or anything like that. Start making those friends now if you don't have those, which I'm sure, pretty much everybody does. Start learning from them and find out, if you can get in with them or finding a bug out location. Start building up that bug out location. Start leaving stuff there or securing it or buying the means to secure it or start reading up on farming or how to skin a deer or what have you. And then basically, if something were to happen, you at least have that knowledge or that location, you have that kind of group to fall back on. But that's another thing, you can get a group all you want, but until you go camping with that group to see if you can get along with them, it would suck to have, a bunch of money tied up, a bunch of, an area secured and such. And then you find out you get there day 2 of, an apocalypse situation, you can't fucking stand, buddy, or vice versa, or, your wife doesn't get along with their wife and,
Right.
it make a miserable end of the world type scenario if you can't get along with your bug out location neighbors, so to speak.
Your neighbors now, just role playing fantasy here for a second, but if you had to bug out in place, and we'll just say it's a prolonged blackout between the two of you guys, Just trying to think about my neighbors. Would you, would it be a compatible situation, uncompatible? Would there be a neighbor that's like, it's not happening if they come to your door?
I mean, I'm in a very normal suburban neighborhood, so I have very little. The only major contact I've had with my neighbors is this old crusty boomer guy who yells about how many cars are parked in the street. Like literally, I was like, when we first moved in, he comes up and is like, "Have you seen how many cars are parked?" And I'm like, "Hi, I'm Eric." He like didn't even know who this fucking guy was. So yeah, I don't have relationships with almost any of my neighbors.
Awesome.
Probably bad, but the good point is that they don't presumably know that I am prepared in any way. But
for myself, because pretty much all last year I was gone for work, probably about 11 months out of the year. So I haven't really seen my neighbors too much, other than, just in passing and such. But, I don't think, I don't think anybody's prepared. I really
No.
don't. I'm sure there's some guys that hunt and fish and stuff like that, but they'll be like, "Oh, I'll just go to my hunting grounds, or I'll just go to my good old fishing spot,"
Right.
where 1,000 other people know where those grounds are and stuff. So I'm not too exactly sure. I wouldn't take any of my neighbors if I were to go someplace, but yeah,
I do have some friends that I would definitely that know what I'm about, that I would trust and would include, but they're not like immediate neighbors.
right. And that's the thing, I've been so out of the loop because I've been gone away. So like everybody that I kind of know or go to is, I've been kind of lost touch. So that's one thing that I got to kind of get back into and getting those contacts happening again, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, you were
Yeah.
gonna say something, buddy?
Who, me? You? Who?
No,
Chase.
you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were gonna say
Okay.
something.
Well,
You look
let's see.
perplexed.
Neighbors.
Yeah. What's your neighbor situation?
My neighbor situation? Well, there's not a lot of people. I think Shrek PMC
Yeah.
just hit it here. What did they say? Yeah, unprofessionally. Scroll back. It's something like, "Hey, I don't like people. I don't like people breathing on me."
Yeah.
And that's that's kind of funny. And I don't think it's that I don't like my neighbors, or I don't like people, or I don't like this or that, but I see a lot of, you've only got so much time for so much charity and so much goodwill. And look I think we all try to do the right thing. We're out here trying to tell people it's in our best interest if they prep and if they get their shit together. We can't save everybody for obvious reasons. I mean, you can't help people that aren't willing to help themselves. And there's a lot of people that are stuck in these negative psychological negative cycles, these loops. And I think they're progressively going to get worse with the advent of TikTok, with all these things that are sucking our brain power. It's like Batman. Remember that one Batman movie with
Batman 3 with Jim Carrey, right, where they're like sucking it up
that's
into
right.
the TV.
Yeah, it's similar to that. That's what the direction that I'm seeing our species move into. So I'm not sure what the solution is. Well, self-reliance, like we've previously talked about, but social credit score, I don't know, man. Like I think we're gonna have these you gotta have these connections, like Dan was saying. I think it's the route to go. And it wouldn't mean necessarily going out and building a log cabin on some remote off-grid community. It could be more about having contacts with people that are in that community, getting your cheese from an organic source, getting your meats, maybe being it's somewhat connected, at least to have a place to connect to. But more importantly, I think, and this is where I think a lot of people miss out or fail, is you need to bring something to the table. There has to be some value, right? Somebody like Dan could say, okay, well, look at, I'll come by and, once every couple of months, and we'll XYZ for the sake of having a reciprocal exchange. If SHTF, guess what? I'll bring my boys. I'm Dan. I'll bring my boys. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring a lot of firearms and a lot of skills and experience and knowledge with respect to security, which could be very valuable to the husband, wife, farmer that are seniors, right? In a rural community lot. So listen, I think the bigger picture is we all got to have fun. It's going to be a long year, and we're in a recession. It's a shitty time to be. I love life. I'm in amazing. I feel great, but I feel shitty for everybody else in society because.
Yeah, no, I definitely
just
agree.
so
Where like I think
miserable.
it's you definitely don't fall into like, oh no, it's going to be so bad kind of thing. Just realize that because there's going to be a lot of opportunities too, unless things get to the point where everything completely collapses, which I don't think is going to happen. There could be massive opportunities, but it's going to be precarious. You know, a lot of things are going to be precarious. So trying to make sure you have income and make sure you have some resilience to the things that may be spotty. And if you have that stuff taken away or taken care of, I think you're, be in a really good spot. Because I don't think it's likely that we'll see massive unrest here in the US specifically. It's certainly possible, but at least not within the next year probably. But I do think we could see a lot of economic problems. But
listen, if it's not economic, there'll be there's going to be something in the next year. I think we're going to be in the fall. If we have we should have a follow-up directly to this.
Yeah.
It's gonna, if it's not this, it's gonna be that. I think the important for me anyways, this year's all about really getting a few things in order and less sedation, less screen time, and more focus. And I wanted to show you guys actually what I've been up to. I got a couple of things here.
I agree too. I definitely need to get to where I'm not just sitting in front of a screen so much.
I think it's important actually. So I've signed up with yoga again.
Nice.
Back working out, and not to, if you guys, I haven't really been on here, but a bit of an update, but I've been working out.
We had someone early on notice that you lost weight. They commented on it.
Yeah, I've been signed up.
Yeah, but your head is still fat. You look like a bobblehead.
Funny. And reading out, ironically, has been quite important. So I just finished this one. It's an evolutionary psychology book, The Ape That Understood the Universe. And this one I'm getting into right now. So it's all about just building yourself up. So for me, 2023 is going to be less screen time, more focus on just internalization of things and staying true to my values. And this is why I'm kind of veering away from the screen. Is nothing wrong with some of these other prepper channels, but it's all just blah. It's all self-fear mongering. I can't connect with that. I need, give me substance,
Yeah, and even if it is, in and of itself, nothing wrong. It's like a barrage. Like if you can spend as much time as you wanted on YouTube absorbing this stuff. That's not really helpful. You know what I mean? I think it is useful to stay abreast of stuff, but whether to you that's 1 hour a week or 5 hours a week or whatever. But if you wanted to, there's enough content that you could sit there and go 8 hours a day just being bombarded with the shit. That's not helpful.
But and you're absolutely right, and that what brings Shay to his point about fear mongering, where it's if you spend 8 hours a day watching prepper channels and everybody's saying, hey, this is what's going to happen here, or this is what they think's going to happen, or what have you, then you're like, holy fuck, now what?
Right.
It's like I gotta go out and spend all this money on buying a generator, or I gotta go and buy $4,000 worth of groceries or what have you. But yeah, you can get sucked into it real quick, and then you're trying to hope for the best with a shitty possible outcome of what you think what might happen.
Right.
Who knows? 2023 could be the best year possible. We could discover some sort of new energy or what have you. But everybody's looking back at the last couple of years thinking, oh, this is it. This is,
right.
I seen a meme on Facebook where they have 2021, 2022, and then 2023, and they add it all up and they get rid of the zero, and it leads to 666, and it's just like, oh my God, guys, calm down. It's not, the bombs aren't going to fall, and the reason why the bombs aren't going to fall, I've seen somebody talking about nuclear war between Russia and whoever the fuck. The reason that's never going to happen is because once one fucking kicks off, they're all kicking off. And if they all kick off, well, might as well just stand outside with your arms up waiting for it, because there's absolutely no way, there's no surviving that. There's not going to be just one nuclear warhead flying through the air, it's going to be a whole bunch. And even if there's only 2 or 3, once that shit gets into the atmosphere, it's done. It's, you know, it's absolutely done. But it's not going to happen because there's no money to be made from a catastrophic world event like that.
Yeah, it would have to be if someone thought they were going to be eliminated anyway and just did it. But I mean, like that would, it's unlikely for sure. That's a good thing.
Yeah, the rich elites would never let a nuclear war happen because there's no more money to be made.
Well, I don't think everything is controlled to that extent, but I do agree that there's just not, yeah, and I don't think that it is completely unsurvivable, but I think most humans on the planet would actually survive, but maybe a couple, maybe US and Russia and UK and a few other countries would probably be mostly destroyed, but
Well, I know I'd survive because I played all the Fallout things on
exactly.
PlayStation, and I'm pretty good at it. So I'm sure everything will be fine.
You got that beard in front of you. That'll protect
Yeah.
you, right?
It's a filter, the air,
that's right.
air all comes through it.
I'm thinking about getting rid of this bad boy. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know, man.
keep
It's
it, man.
it's one of
You're
those
not
things.
getting as many hits on the grinder profiles you used to.
Well, that's that, and it's. I was eating pancakes last week, and I
I
could
get
still smell
syrup.
the. It wasn't too good. You know, when you wake up the next day, smell like syrup. You're like, I don't know.
You're like, I've hit rock bottom. He's covered in pancake
Maybe.
syrup.
Yeah, maybe it's time for this bad boy
chunks
to
of
go.
blueberries.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, where am I?
But yeah, the only time will tell. Wait. Somebody just said Fallout is fake, not real life.
Oh, I'm bad. No,
Who is this person? Who is this person?
It's a manlet. It says manlet opia.
God, what does that even mean?
You don't know what a manlet is?
A
It's like guy-
manlet?
A manlet. They're like the guys who are like, not like short, but like below average height.
Midgets.
No, but like like guys who are like 5'6", 5'7", and manlets.
Yeah, midgets.
And so I'm like
5'7",
I'm like the king of the manlets because I'm 5'10".
Oh,
So I get to I don't get advantages of being short or tall if there are any. So
Gotcha.
What's the minimum height? Because you guys
have
don't
no-
know my height.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. Let
well,
me
I know you're
Google
right.
it.
I've seen you.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me see. What is manlet range? It says the range of height is considered a manlet from 4'10" to 5'7".
Yes.
Midget.
I'm not a manlet. I was concerned there.
But someone
for a
else says
second.
a manlet is any adult male less than 6 feet tall. Is not simply just a really short guy.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's like
So that's why I said
94%
I'm like
of the
well,
population.
exactly. That's why it's ridiculous. But it also makes me king of the manlets because I'm not quite 6 feet tall, but almost.
I've never heard that term before. Manlet.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it in a sentence 4 times tomorrow.
Just to latch it into your brain.
Yeah, just to get into upgrade my knowledge skills, so I'm not the village idiot in this group.
We like diversity in our group.
Yeah, of course.
Well, we actually went almost an hour already. I have memes for next time. I don't know when next time is going to be. Probably we'll talk about it, but I don't have ready to show. But definitely we'll have a good batch of memes for next time. I guess below. Someone says, "What is below manlet?" Below manlet would be actual dwarf territory, I guess.
Wow. Always finishing on a high note, I guess.
Someone said the Lord Homunculus. For those of you who don't know, homunculus is a tiny, fully formed person. I think ancient times they used to think that like sperm, instead of being just like DNA material, was actually a tiny but fully formed humans.
Huh.
Like homunculus.
George has got a good point. Short
they-
people live longer during SHTF. They need less calories.
Yeah,
They-
keep
they
telling,
actually
keep
say
telling
too-
yourself that.
They
Until
say
you
too
run
that
face, they throw in a pit with somebody, then you don't want to be short.
right, like a Master Blaster.
Yeah,
beyond the
exactly.
Thunderdome.
The Thunder in the Thunderdome, you can be really happy about
It
the
all
fact that
goes
you can
back to
survive
Mad
off
Max.
100 calories a day or whatever. That's not going to make me feel any better.
Funny. Well, listen, it's nice connecting with you guys. I think we're summing up here in a second.
Yeah,
So
we'll
I
wrap it up.
apologize for booking. I put out the word to say let's have a show, and then later that day I didn't follow up, and you guys had that show. So that was completely my mistake. I got wrapped up with a chick. So
It happens. New year,
yeah,
you
it
know, new year, new
happens.
year.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, we'll do this in a few weeks. It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Glad you're back,
Dan.
Shay. It's always good, always funny.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
working
Have all
out,
the three of
reading.
us.
It's all positive. Listen, we're living. It's fucked up times. It's trying for a lot of people, and I think the best thing to do is focus on yourself. And I've been making a point of just. I hate reading, but I force myself to do it every morning and work out and eat healthy. And that's what 2023 is starting off to be like for me. And I think it's positive to get out of these
Stronger and strong,
this
healthy people
hysteria.
are more dangerous in general and harder to kill and more useful.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what you got to kill it, right? You got to you got to do the right thing. So, and for me, doing the right thing is taking care of number one.
Always,
That's
yeah.
the
You got to
main
put the you got to put the mask on yourself in the airplane before you can help anyone else.
There you go. Yes. All right, Dan. What about you? What's your? You're still on TikTok doing your thing there?
Still doing it, yeah, buddy. It's
Nice.
you know, it's odd. I'm almost at 13,000 followers. I don't
That's
know
awesome.
how that has happened, but yeah, I guess there's other folks out there that enjoy what I have to say. So hopefully we'll double that. That's my goal, 2023. I want 26,000 followers on TikTok.
All right, we're gonna double you up. All right. Good, I like it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll tentatively aim for next 2 weeks from now, but we'll see. And I'll try to mention it on the channel if it does change. But it's been fun. Glad we get the crew back, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Getting the band back together.
Yep.
A mission from the gods.
We're on a mission from God. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. All right, wait. I gotta stop. I think we're still live.
We're still alive.
Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna end it. So we'll talk to you guys later.